So you can actually start to track your activities, your business generation activities, and make these things well known on a team dashboard and create that personal responsibility through that public accountability, because we're focused on activities, right? That's how we get our people bought into a viral goal right there. I want to talk first about just that one first component for a minute about viral goals. And viral goals they permeate the entire organization, okay? And I'm going to start again. I mean, this works from solo agent all the way up to broker, owner. This goes into other, almost every business industry out there, all the way through. So all of these different broker, owner, team leader, agents, they have their own network of people. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, any leader, the first thing, just think of any leader, any manager, anybody. They'll say, hey, I want us to go here. I want us to do all this stuff. We're going to increase sales from 20 million to 50 million. Most people think, oh God, that's a lot of work we got to do all for you. And that's the way it's felt. I mean, that's the first thing. That's why, I mean, it's very hard to be a good leader, because they're not bought in. They actually realize that any type of increased goal means more work for them. So that's a bad deal. So I'm anything but bought in on that goal. I don't like that goal. Why? Because that means I got to work harder. That means I don't get to see my kids, and I don't, I'm stressed and anxiety and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why most goals don't work for leaders within an organization, is people are actually not on the same page at all. That's why the goal must be viral. Okay. And it's funny, as the publisher of my book, which is Wiley Publications, they're an amazing publishing house, and they've been around for like 300 years. They published like Hemingway and Melville and Dickens, people like that. But the guy looked at me and he goes, man, you cannot use the word viral, because we were going through edits and it was about to release right when COVID hit. And he's like, that is not going to be. But luckily, I don't think it's politically incorrect now. I think everybody gets it. Viruses spread. I think we all know that now. So viruses spread, and the whole idea is the goal and the motivation the goal creates to spread the host, the leader, through everybody in the organization. So everybody's got the motivation, which means I'm not opposed to your goal. It doesn't negatively impact me because it requires more of me. It actually gives me something. So it's very important to understand, what is it in your people can we motivate them with? Now, real estate agents in an organization, it should be pretty easy, right? Because the more we sell, the more they make, because they get paid a commission base. So that one's pretty easy. If you're running a real estate team or a brokerage and you're concerned about your agents, well, that's more money for them. Even if you're a solo agent and your team consists of your spouse, well, they're going to get more income, because you're going to bring home more. That's what's in it for them. If it's your lender partner, your escrow partners, the brokerage, a team, or a solo agent, the more you sell, the more agents you have, all those things means more income for them, because they're all commission-based businesses as well too. Title, insurance, mortgage, all that. So they should all be bought in on your success as well. So getting them on board and making sure they're aware of that might be the reason you don't have as much time for any of the people on your team. That might be the reason that you're asking them to do things like contribute to client events, or call some of your leads, or meet with a buyer before they're pre-qualified, things like that. You're getting them bought in to go next level with their business generation activities. They need to see where you're trying to go and understand that you're very clear and precise on your goals and the specific activities that you have aligned to correlate to those goals. So everyone's got to be bought in. In a leadership position, same deal. I mean, with administrative staff, I mean, the more the team goes, the more the brokerage grows, the more the salary increases grow, the more the responsibility can grow, because we're going to need more people, and then they're going to have to be leaders. And then all of a sudden they get promotions with increased responsibility. Increased career and professional growth is a huge motivator. Huge motivator. That's big to know that, hey, I'm going to get to lead people. I am just an administrative assistant. Maybe I'm going to be the administrative manager. Maybe I'm going to get to be the sales manager, the general manager. Maybe I'm going to be the one agent that can grow up and start like getting paid a percentage off the sales of all the other agents. Maybe I'm going to get my own opportunity to manage one of these other offices. Maybe manage this office. Opportunities come from growth. It's very hard to carve out increased compensation without growth though. But if you can grow something, if you get behind and grow something, you can also create more opportunity. So growth creates all of that. But we have to be very clear about the different opportunities that can present themselves in order to make something viral and get buy-in. They have to see that. You have to paint a vision and show all the potential and discuss it, talk about it, motivate with it, and then follow through on it. That's the idea of a viral goal, okay? The other thing about goals that I think are really important is goals must be smart. Now, I didn't make this up. I think most people have the idea of a SMART goal. But I want to make sure you all understand it. A SMART goal is specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's time bound. Okay, hence SMART, S-M-A-R-T. I think you got that one. Okay, but it's specific, meaning it is, it's not just to improve the culture of the team, improve the culture of the office. That's not specific. There's a lot of ways you might be able to win or justify that you've done that when you really haven't. There's differing opinions on that. It's not specific enough. It's just, we got to get very specific. And one of the ways we do that, probably the most important way, is make it measurable, which is very easy in business. It's very easy in real estate, is we got to pick a number. It's got to be numeric. That's how you make something measurable, right? So examples: gross commission income, net profit, units closed, market share, agent count at times. And I've seen brokerages go through all different types of goals. Agent count's great, but then, profit's what really matters. And then, it could be market share at times, different types of goals. So long as they're numeric and they're specific and they're time bound, you can change goals from time to time because different things motivate at different times in any organization's life. And different things become important at different times. When you first open a brokerage or a team, getting profitable is real important. So you might grow it on agent count, grow those agents real fast so we can get enough production to pay the bills, for example. Is it achievable? Don't be unrealistic. Can we really get there? It's my first year in real estate. I'm going to sell 500 homes this year. Stupid. I have an office of 30 people. I've had an office of 30 people for 10 years, and I'm gonna grow it to 450 people in 1 year. What happens is, if it's not achievable, you're gonna get way behind your goal the first couple of months of the year, and it's gonna be a meaningless goal. In fact, you're gonna hide the goal because it just reminds you of negative, that you're behind the whole time. So you'll just completely put the goal on a shelf and forget about it. People do that all the time. For those of you that are highly social, high I behaviors, they tend to really do pie in the sky goals. Because if it's to me, it's up to me, and I just put that reach for the stars goal out there, and they forget about it in 2 months because the good positivity of setting the goal is quickly turned upside down by the fact that you're so far behind on it. And that's why having achievable goals are important, because the measurable nature of having a specific measurable goal that's achievable, we can always then track to see if we're ahead of it or behind it. If we have a goal to sell 120 homes in a year and we're 2 months in, we should have closed 20 transactions. If we haven't, we've only closed 15, we're 5 behind our goal. If we've closed 30, we're 10 ahead of our goal. We can see how we're doing, and that can motivate one way or the other. But it's got to be achievable, because if we're 50 behind our goal in January, that's daunting. And we put that goal on a shelf and forget about it for fear of the negative mental impact of looking at it over and over and over again, right? So that's why it's got to be achievable. Then it's got to be relevant, right? If our goal is to grow a brokerage to 300 agents, well, that's great. But if it's a whole bunch of non-producing agents that are part-time, that are looking for, $100 transaction fees and 100% splits, is that really relevant to your real goal, which is have a profitable business? Or if your goal is just to increase the culture of the company, or to make all the agents happy, or to enjoy your business as a solo agent, is that relevant to where you really want to be with your career goals? So we want to make sure that your goal for the short term is aligned with your life goals, your career goals for where you want to go, right? Then lastly, it's got to be time bound. And I always like to see organizational goals be 1 year at a time at the longest. I mean, you could make them shorter, but if if it's a 5-year goal for an organization, chasing it and chasing it and chasing it gets old. It's nice to have some closure and then reboot next year. Because if you get too far behind, it's only 1 year and you don't get too far behind till halfway through it. At least every year you can get it. It's something to celebrate. You get closure, or you just miss it and you're frustrated. Oh, shucks, we'll get them next year. And then next year you can get back on the horse and go again. So 1 year is kind of the accepted standard. So whatever goal you pick, it's got to be specific and measurable, but achievable enough and relevant enough to your career goals, maybe your 5 or 10-year goals, that 1 year goal is accomplishable and will move you forward with where you want to be in business for your career. And that's the idea behind it, right? And that's why a viral goal must be a SMART goal. It is absolutely crucial. So I'm going to show you something here that I think you're really going to like about how to kind of get identifiable in real estate. Now, again, broker owners will use this for a brokerage, and they can turn around and give it to the agents in their office. Team leaders, same thing. They could use this. So broker owners give this to team leaders, productivity coaches, or any leaders can use this to work with agents individually as well too. So this is a great measuring tool for a team, a brokerage, or all the way down to coach agents on. That is awesome, and it's something you're gonna be able to drop down to the side and download here when I get there, and you'll be able to pull it with this. But you're gonna freaking love this. Get ready if I hyped it enough. But this is our ICC business tracker, and you can see that in the middle of the screen here. It's a really cool tool that we use, and you can see anything shaded in green is editable, and if we fill in those cells, it'll auto populate the remaining cells and do a lot of mathematical calculations for you, right? And we start at the top, right? It says yearly transaction goal. How many transactions do you want to close in a year? So everybody's going to be different depending on their average price point, but don't worry, this compensates for that. So let's say you want to close, you're going to see all the numbers change here. Let's say you're just you're going to close 1,000 transactions because you run a big brokerage. You put any number in there you want though. Okay. You got 1,000 transactions, right? And then your average sales price, we have 400 here. Let's change that. And it's going to change a bunch of numbers as well. Let's say your average sales price is 450,000. Okay. That means you're going to have an average commission of 12,375 if the average commission in your company is 2.75%. Let's say you're in an area that they're only paying buyer's agents 2.5%. Change it. Just put in what's normal in your, I hope you're in an area that has higher than 2.5% on average, but you may not be. Typically higher price markets have a lower percentage of commission. I don't think it should be that way, but there are certain agents that are caving to get listings, and they cave through commission rather than value. So don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm just showing you what the reality is. So if that's your average commission in your team, your company, your brokerage, your business, put it in there, and then I'll adjust that commission based on a 450,000 sales price. Your average commission would be around 11,250. And then the percentage that you get in your company from buyer side versus seller's listing side transactions. If you don't know, it's 50-50. If you're a massively healthy organization, you might be 60% sellers, 40% buyers. You obviously want more listings if you can. Could be 60% buyers, 40% listings. Wherever that is, if you go back and look at the last couple of years, and that's the best thing you can do. But if you don't know and you can't look, or you're not sure where you're going to be, just do 50-50. Usually you're at a 60-40 to a 50-50. If it gets too out of whack, if it gets to 70-30 or something like that, typically we have a problem, because if it's 70% listings and 30% buyers, that means you're missing out on a lot of buyer sides. You're doing something wrong. You're not converting your buyer leads, because a lot of those need to replace. They sell and they want to replace and buy a new property, and somehow we're not getting those. Or we're not converting buyer leads off our listings, because listings generate buyer leads. So we're not doing something there. Same with the other way around. If we're at 70% buyers and 30% listings, that's a dangerous place to be. You're going to work like a banshee. You're working too hard, because it's a lot less work handling listings, a lot less work than showing all that property. It takes too much time. Okay, so that's always the goal. Keep it around 50-50. It's super healthy. So I would say optimally 60% listings, 40% buyers. Kind of hard to hold it there though. Kind of hard to hold it there. So that's the idea. You input those numbers and voila, all of a sudden it tells you down below based on the 1,000 transactions. You know, you could have a GCI goal of 11,250,000. My number's set. You could have a transaction goal of 1,000, or you could multiply 1,000 times 450,000, and you should have a volume goal. That would be your total sales volume, 45 million. So all your numbers get real precise there, okay, for goal setting, for creating a viral goal, right? Then we got to look at what the agent mix of our organization should look like. And for solo agents, this is where you're sitting down with solo agents and saying, all right, so here's what your listing side, based on what we put in up here, and our buyer side should look like. And we can actually start targeting conversion rates. This is where it gets just next level awesomeness, right? And this is where we start to get into those activities, right? If we're going to focus on the activities and create viral goals that are achievable, let's see if they are achievable. On the listing side, to get this done, we're going to need 1,089 leads if we adopt a 75% conversion rate, right? Which means of the 1,089 leads that come in one way or the other, we can convert 75% of them to listing appointments. Remember, we're talking about 1,000 transactions a year here. Okay, you can lose a 0 if your goal is 100. Okay, so this would be more like a brokerage or a real big real estate team. So everything's relative here. Okay, so 1,089 leads come in. You convert 75% of them into listing appointments. You got 817 listings the people in your company are going on a year. Let's say they convert 80% of those listings. It means we're gonna take 653 listings. Let's say we convert 85% of those listings into contracts, which means we're pricing them right, negotiating well, and they're going under contract. Under contract, the conversion rate probably goes up a little bit higher. That we're actually going to close 90% of them, and that's how many don't fall out of escrow or closing beforehand. And we're going to close 500 transactions. We close 500 transactions with our average sales price. Then we're going to hit, you can see our sellers sold volume, our commission percentage, and we're going to hit our gross revenue projection commission from our sales there. That would give us 68.1 listing appointments that we would need to take as an office monthly, 54.5 listings that we would need to take them, get under contract and take, listing agreements signed monthly. And we need to sell and close 42 listings per month to hit our 50% towards our goal. Isn't it great when you zero in like that? So we need 17 listing appointments needed weekly. So we have to make enough contacts and do enough activities for our office to go on 17.03 listing appointments every week. We do that, the rest should flow if my conversion rates are right. And conversion rates can vary, man. If you're an SOI-based business, you'll probably convert higher than 75%. If you're prospecting for expired, you might convert less than 75%. You don't even know these people. So it just depends. You may have more experience and convert at a higher level. You may be in an area that you have to go on competitive listing appointments where you're always competing against other agents. That'll bring but every area is different. Every price point's different. So you're going to know that. That's why you got to fill in the green points. Buyer side, it's really the same thing. Leads come in, conversion rate to buyer appointments, buyer consultation appointments. I refer to those as buyer listing appointments, same way you list a buyer. Then how many buyer listings, which is getting an exclusive agency agreement signed. What percentage of those write an offer? 90% do, because that's true. You get a buyer's agency, you're going to get a high percent write an offer. And then of the offers that they write, about 80% of those close. And that's how we generate our figures. And you can see we're going to need to close 42, our office will need to close 42 buyers per month. Have to write that many contracts, 57.9, 58 roughly, and have 72 buyer consults per week. So you can actually start to track your activities, your business generation activities, and and make these things well known on a team dashboard and create that personal responsibility through that public accountability, because we're focused on activities, right? That's how we get our people bought into a viral goal right there, right? And then we can even do the same with listings needed, right? You know, you can actually see that we need to carry 105 active listings at all times to hit this goal. Why? Because we put in up above 1,000 was our office goal, right? And then we assume a 10% fallout rate. Certain amount of listings aren't going to sell because unrealistic sellers, you know, bad condition of properties, you know, it's not usually your fault, it's their fault, but whatever it is, we just got to assume 100 of them aren't going to go through, right? So then we add that 100 back to the goal and say we need 1,100 to hit our goal of 1,000 transactions. 50% of closings are going to come from listings, so we can cut it in half right there because we know we're going to get some from buyers. So then we need 550 listings, but we showed up here that only 85% of them sell. So we take 85% of that, gets us down to 647. If that changes, it'll change here as well. Then we got to look at our average days on market in our area. And that's a lot higher than you think because there's always some listings that are overpriced that sit forever. So we want to look in your MLS at your average days on market and plug it in there. And based on this, we need to have 105 listings active at all times to hit our goal. So we can actually, if we dip below, that means we need to hurry up and get more listings. Okay, and you can see what happens if you change this to 100 transactions, everything starts to change everywhere. Okay, where you start to see, okay, now down here, we only need 10 active listings at all times though, even in the winter. You start falling behind on that, we're going to need even more in the spring and summer. So 10 at all times. We always got to be replacing listings to close, right? You can see now we only need almost 2 listing appointments per week to hit that goal of 100. But we need to be going on 2 listing appointments a week. And you can see we need to have 7 buyer consults because they close at a lower conversion rate. It's a lot more work representing buyers. That's why. These numbers show it. They absolutely show it. But that's the ICC business tracker. And I'll tell you, it is super, super cool. So I want you all to download that one for sure too, because that's powerful. That's powerful for coaching agents. That's powerful to do with your entire brokerage to get your goals, to make your viral goals. Do it with your teams, do it with your agents, do it with everybody. So they get real specific and measurable. You do that, throw them up on a dashboard and huddle up about them. Things start to change, you know? If you want to lose weight, just hop on the scale every morning. Seriously, that's all you got to do. You don't need to do anything else. Just hop on the scale every morning and make yourself hop on. Do it every morning. That's all you got to do. People always say, what do you got to do to lose weight? Just do that. And they'll say, well, that won't work. I don't know anybody's done it that way. Well, you also don't know anybody's done it that way. Just start doing it. Pretty soon you'll start to care what it says every day and you'll start to do things about it. So hop on it first thing every morning, even before you pee, just get on the thing every single morning. Do it the same time. And pretty soon you will start to watch your intake and you will start to watch your exercise because you'll see that's what moves the needle. If you measure it, it will improve. Just start measuring and you watch, all of a sudden you'll start doing things. It's the weirdest mental thing on the planet. Super, super powerful though.